welcome again to Public Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin McDermott. And tonight, once again, we're on the road. We're in Oak Park at the Eastgate Cafe. And tonight is storytelling night. So we're here to hear what the storytellers have to tell us. So stay tuned. We should have some good stories, and we'll bring you as much of that as we possibly can.
Whoa!
There we go.
There we go.
Inside voice.
We're ready to get going.
What are we doing?
What a great group we have here tonight. Fantastic! And we got a great lineup of tellers. And we have a cameraman who's going to be filming us as we do our show tonight.
It's present tense. He's not gonna be. He is.
You got a TV host here too.
And a TV host.
Oh, hi.
Hi,
Yes.
TV host.
Oh, hi.
What's your name?
Kevin,
Kevin.
Kevin.
What kind of TV host are you doing?
one of the best in the business.
Of course.
Just so you
Goes
know.
without saying, but
Right.
shameless self-promotion dictates
Yeah, why
that you
not,
say that.
right.
But go ahead, yes.
So, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what you're doing here
Here, I
tonight?
swear to God, we're going to
Kevin?
start this show in a minute. We just
Yeah.
can't. Hi, Kevin. Let's welcome Kevin.
Thank you.
Got 30 seconds, buddy. Go.
Start timing.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all. I'm Kevin McDermott. The show that I'm going to be making tonight is called Public Perspective. You can find us on the web at publicperspective.tv. I've been friends with Pat and Olya here for many years. I'm really happy to do this for them. And actually my own band performs here from time to time as well. So this is a great place. How many here are here for the first time? Oh man, well you're discovering a real gem here. in Oak Park. Really, this place is great. I've been coming here for many years. And Patrick and Olya in particular, Patrick's the muscle. Olya's the brains, just in case you haven't figured that out yet.
Let's go with that.
She's great at figuring out how to, make this place new and refreshing every time you come in. So I encourage you to come back. And anybody who's interested in talking with me, you want your 3 minutes of fame, 30 seconds of fame, whatever you feel, let me know. I'll come and be happy to sit and chat with you and put you on camera. So, hey, everybody, have fun.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
There we go.
All right.
Should we get this thing? Okay, so.
Yeah, we'll get going. So I am Margaret Burk, and I'm co-host of Do Not Submit here at Eastgate Cafe.
And I'm Peter LeGrand. I'm the other co-host. I'm her worst half, actually, without a doubt. And you're amazing, and thank you for everything the last couple months, because
Good
stuff.
Good. So Do Not Submit is, what's really fun is that we are one of 12 different neighborhood Do Not Submit that's going on around the Chicago area. It was started by Scott Whitehair, and his idea was just that we should have a neighborhood place where people from the neighborhood could come and tell stories and hear other people, friends and neighbors telling stories. And so it has really taken off. We have been here in Oak Park for 3 years, but just imagine in 12 other communities throughout the Chicago area and some of the suburbs, there are groups like this meeting and telling stories and listening to stories. So fabulous. Here we are, part of a whole group of storytelling tellers and listeners. Peter LeGrand, come on up.
I've been going through an interesting time, but I was in the ICU 2 weeks ago today. Anyways, my cell phone rings about 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's a number from the city in Berwyn that I'm at. And I answer it, and it's, and this is Dr. So-and-so's office, and we're calling for Peter LeGrand. I said, oh, this is Peter LeGrand. Did you know that you had an appointment in our office this morning at 11 o'clock? Well, I didn't know that because they had made that appointment about like 4 weeks before, and then my trip to the hospital happened. And I said, oh yeah, funny you should mention that. I do remember that appointment. I'm a little busy right now. Don't think I'm making it. Well, that's why we're calling this morning. Oh, well, you didn't give us 24 hours notice that you weren't going to be here. I said, well, what does that mean? Well, we're going to have to bill you for the appointment. Oh, of course you are. Anyways. So I'm sitting, my bed was next to the window, and the window of the hospital, and the hospital is connected to the professional building next door, where the doctor appointment was supposed to be. So I'm in the hospital, across the street is the professional building. Guess whose office was facing my window? Guess who was sitting in the window, talking on the phone, not knowing she was looking at me as I'm looking out. Because I'm looking out the window, and there's this woman across the street in the window on the second floor where the doctor, and as I'm talking, I can see her listening, nodding her head. And then she talks, and I'm listening, and she says, so she's, this is unfolding in front of my eyes, and I'm like, how absurd, what are the odds? But I thought, well, I definitely deserve this moment of hilarity after the last 4 days, so I was going with it. So I'm letting her talk, and she's giving me the legal speech about, I have not given 24 hours notice, this is not good, and, you will be billed to the full, indemnity of, the powers that we have. The extent of the law, indeed. And I was very quiet. I just let her spin for a while, and she finally stopped. I said, look over your left shoulder out the window. Can I see her? I said, see the guy in the window waving at you? That's me. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm waving my IVs, go with the other. I am so sorry. I said, no, that's okay. I just, felt like this was, pretty hilarious, and I wanted to let you spin for a while. She says, don't worry, we're not going to bill you. I said, that's good. I'm really appreciating that. So that was a very small slice. I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. I missed last month's show because I was out, and it's really always a pleasure and honor to be here. And you guys are amazing, and I thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. Appreciate it.
I'm going to tell you a story. Megan, you're up next.
Oh my God, right when I go to the bathroom.
I know. Okay, here we go. I'm going to tell you a story. I sat in the back of this taxi on the way to Midway Airport, nervously looking at my watch. I said to the driver, maybe you could take another route. As I looked at the back-up cars, the red taillights that were backed up in front of us, he turned around and he gave me one of those, lady, you want to get out and walk? Looks. You see, it was Wednesday evening, the day before Thanksgiving. I know. And I was trying to get to my 7 o'clock flight to LA to spend Thanksgiving with my husband's mother. Now, he had already gone out there, and I had stayed to finish a deadline on a project that I was working on, which turned out to be an all-nighter. But I had that 7 o'clock flight. I knew I would get in there by 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was baking the turkey. I know. So we were just inching our way to Midway Airport. And you know what, I know, I should have called for the taxi earlier, but who knew there would be snow? I mean, it was mid-November, and that wasn't this year. And so we finally got to the airport. The airport was nuts, and the line to get into security was long. Finally, I got up to get into the security line. I took my backpack off, I took my boots off, I took my coat off, I took my hat off, I took my shawl off. This was before pre-TSA. I learned my lesson. And finally, I went through the machine. Step aside, lady, the TSA agent said. I go, what? What? It's 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes to take off. I really got to go. He said, step aside, lady. So I waited, and I waited, and I waited for a female agent to come and pat me down. Right. Yeah, she said, zippers on your pant leg does it every time. Oh no. I had worn those pants that had the zippers on them. So I picked up everything. I raced to the gate. It was, of course, at the end of the terminal, Terminal A at Midway. It was Southwest Airlines. No reserved seats, right? I ran up just as they were doing the final call, ran in. There were 3 seats left, all in the middle, in the back of the plane. There was one in between these 2 great big guys. There was one right in front of this kid that was coughing and sneezing. No. And there was one in the very back seat next to the bathroom by this young woman that didn't look too good. Turns out she was pregnant. She threw up on takeoff. And she threw up on landing. Finally, we landed. I got out of the plane, stepped into the terminal to the loud Christmas music, flashing lights, and tinsel. Now, there is one thing that I really don't like. I do not like Christmas before Thanksgiving. I do not want to see Santa Claus before turkey and dressing. I was grumping all the way to the baggage claim, and somehow I growled back at this little snappy chihuahua whose personal space I had obviously invaded on the escalator down to the baggage claim. When I got to the baggage claim, the agent says, "Step back, everybody. Step back from the carousel. Only come up when your flight has been posted." The baggage claim was crazy busy. This was 10 o'clock at night, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Everybody was rushing to get in. Step back, step back. You know, there are some things that bring out the worst base nature in people. One of them is Black Friday. Another bowl is Super Bowl tickets. And another is the baggage claim on the day before a holiday. There were mothers and kids and strollers and boxes and big linebackers standing in front of the carousel, blocking everybody from going in. And the agent kept saying, "Step back, everybody. Step back from the carousel. Don't go up. Don't go up until your flight has been posted." I just stood back up against the wall with all the folks in wheelchairs, out of the fray of the horrible humanity that was crowding in. Bah, humbug. And then there was this woman, this young girl. She was maybe about 10 feet away from me, and all of a sudden I heard ring. And then she started to sing. Ring Christmas bells. And then there was this other girl, this blonde girl in a blue sweater right over there. And she joined in. Merrily ring. Then there was a guy over there on the other side of the carousel. He joined in. Ring Christmas bells. And somebody behind me. Merrily ring. And then people kept coming forward. were joining in and singing, ring Christmas bells, merrily ring, tell all the world Jesus is King. More and more. I looked around, I go, who's going to start singing next? Who's going to start? Who here? Who's going to start singing? They kept coming forward, and they had beautiful voices, sopranos and altos and tenors and basses, and it was 4-part harmony, and I could hear them perfectly, and they had totally enclosed the 2 baggage carousels, and they were singing this beautiful, beautiful song. It was just like, oh my God. And people were taking pictures, people were taking videos. I just stood there like with my jaw dropped open, listening. Well, they were completely surrounded me. And then they stopped. They stopped singing, and they all turned and they walked out the door onto the street. And I caught one girl who was just going by me, and I said, is that it? Is that all? And she said, yes. I said, well, who are you? She said, we're from Marymount College. I said, how many? How many were here? She said, 30. Oh my God. I just got flash mobbed. I just got flash mobbed. I just got blessed by this random act of beauty. And then the flight number came up, and I picked up my bag, and I walked out, and you know what? There was this Christmas music blaring, and there were flashing colored lights, and there was tinsel, and I just thought, oh, well, that's sort of pretty. And then I went to get in the car, to the shuttle, the rental car, and there were tons of people waiting there, and they were all crowded, and I was waiting there for a long time with them. I looked around, you know, moms and dads and kids and all nationalities, and I just thought, wow, what are all these stories? I wonder where they're going and who they're going to visit. And then the shuttle bus came, the rental shuttle came, and I got on, and the driver, she had had a hard day. Oh my God, she was tired and she was grumpy, and there were too many people and there were too many bags, and she just sort of rammed us over to the rental car place. But you know what? When I got on, I just looked her in the eye, and I waited, and I said, I hope you have a day off. Just have a really nice Thanksgiving. And I gave her a really nice tip. Thank you.
So here we are with Margaret Burk, the organizer of tonight's event. Margaret, this was really a thrill. Thank you for putting this on.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, I haven't seen this before. You know, in all the years I've been coming to Eastgate, this is a new experience for me.
Good.
So how long have you been presenting events like this?
We've been here for 3 years.
Here in the Eastgate?
Here in the Eastgate for 3 years. With this show, it's always the second Friday night of every month.
So I have a bone to pick with Olga, who's the owner here, because she hasn't told me about this. So.
Well, now you know.
Now I know, yeah.
Now you know. Kevin, I bet you have a story. I bet you have a story
I
you could tell,
probably
or
have
two.
a few that I could tell.
I know.
Yeah.
Does it look like fun?
It does actually look like fun. I'll just have to think of some,
Yeah.
either a compendium of stories or one in particular that might be appealing. So we'll think about that.
I know it. Well, you have many opportunities.
Yes.
Every month.
Every month, yes.
Yeah.
I can come back anytime.
I know.
Right.
You know what's
Right.
really fun, because you see people in the audience, like for the first time, like yourself, and then all of a sudden, the next month they come back with a story, and you go, yes!
We've hooked them.
That's the way we want it to work. That's what we want to do. Yeah.
What got you into storytelling? It's such an interesting thing.
It is a fascinating thing. You know, I have done theater in my background, but then I have.
As have I. Just so you know.
Well, see, yeah. And but I was an arts administrator for a couple decades, and then I really felt a calling to come back to my own art form. And my own art form is definitely the spoken word in one way or the other. And at that time, there was just this renaissance in storytelling. So there's so much storytelling going on.
Well, it's on the radio, it's on NPR,
Well,
it's everywhere.
It's on NPR, but in Chicago, they're probably almost every night of the month, there's a storytelling event that you could go to, some that you can participate in. So there's just this renaissance. And I think it was a period in my life where I also felt like I just wanted to I had stories to tell. You know, and it's satisfying to tell your story. And I love the crafting. I actually love taking the idea and then crafting it into a story.
Because you have to figure out what's the draw.
You do.
What's the point of this? What am I
Yes.
going to build toward? And is that worth building towards? Is
Yes.
that something worth getting to?
Yes. So it's like the nugget, you know, and that's the craft of it, is to say it's not just an anecdote, or it's not just a memory, but it has a deeper. It
should resonate.
Yes, and then it becomes universal. Then it becomes, then it touches you, it touches other people, and other people begin to say, there's something here for me in this story as well. I'm nourished. I'm not just entertained. I'm nourished by it in some way.
Well, that's interesting because we saw tonight a selection of stories. Some were first-time storytellers, where it is really just kind of personal.
Right.
But even there, you can think, oh, gee, like the high school girl who was talking. Well, I was in high school. We all were, right? So this resonates, right?
Yes.
Oh, gee, yes, I remember those kind of awkward times.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Or even hiking up to the top of a mountain. I have, in fact, done that. So I know about getting lost in the wilderness. I can
Yes.
sympathize with that.
Right.
So you never know with these stories that are told, which part is going to connect with you. And even if they aren't profound, and I think that's the thing, they don't have to be profound.
No, they don't.
They just have to have the element of truth in them.
Yes. That's what we want. And I almost always leave every show I go to with an idea for a story I could tell. Like Judith's story about her grandfather. What that awakened in me is like, how am I like my grandmother? My grandmother, who died when I was very young, but I know when I look at her picture, when she was my age, I look like her. And that's curious to me, So she kind of awakened that in me. It's like, that's an interesting story. I could get into developing that story too.
So it helps you to connect with your past as well, right? And to understand more about yourself by telling these stories.
Yes.
So let me segue for a minute. So the Eastgate, a wonderful place. I've been here for forever and ever, and I think you've got a drink coming here. So
thank you.
it's okay. We're on cable. You can drink on cable, so we're good. Right? In fact, cheers.
Oh, hey.
There we
Cheers,
go.
Kevin.
Yes.
Cheers.
So the Eastgate. This is such an interesting place. What brought you here to do this?
Well, I live 4 blocks from here. So, and I've come out, I've known it as I just feel like it's a very warm and inviting place.
It is.
And so when I was coming here, I would want to come because it was a place where you could talk. And you could linger, but you could have a conversation. It's very warm, very inviting. So when we thought about doing this particular show, I wanted a neighborhood place, and I wanted a place where people felt welcome, and also where people could eat and drink. Because most of the storytelling programs, monthly shows, are in like breweries or cafes or coffee shops or or something where people could have
Relax.
have a cup of coffee, have a beer, have dinner, and that really helps. It really helps build.
And the food's pretty good here. After all.
And the food is good here.
Yes.
And the food is good here, so I'm very lucky.
And the drinks are generous.
And
right?
the drinks are generous, so it's a good place to come to eat and drink, you know. So it just had the kind of atmosphere that I thought would be good for a neighborhood story sharing.
And you can tell, even as we're sitting here talking, people have not left.
I
So
know.
the event is over, but they're still hanging out. They're still having a great time.
always
So it's that
do.
kind of place, right? You say you
That
feel at
kind
home
of
here.
Place. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
my band plays here. And so that's one of the
What
things.
is your band playing? What's your band?
Ring, Shout, and Friends.
Oh,
So we play here 4 or 5 times a year, and it's like this because it's just like a family place.
I know.
Like you're playing in someone's living room.
yes. And that is so much more inviting than a theater where you're in, like, you know.
We feel you're connected. You're part of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we find that when we're performing, it's very easy to interact with the audience here.
Yes.
And the audience feels now they're part of the show. And
I
so
know.
that builds the synergy between performer and audience.
I know. And I love that it's in the neighborhood. One of the things I just remember when I went to Europe, and I felt like there was just art, like you could go into a church and there was a quartet playing, or you could go into a plaza, and there were people like doing something. And so what I love is that sense of, people doing art and doing it in their own neighborhood,
community.
in their own community.
Yeah.
And it's very accessible. Like I could say, what's going on at the Eastgate tonight? Oh,
Something.
Something. Yeah, let's go have a glass of wine and see what's going on at the Eastgate. I mean, that's what I think we would love.
Well, and I know that's what Olya for years, the owner Olya, has been trying to promote here, is that there's always something interesting happening at the Eastgate.
Yes.
So just come on by, drop in any time.
Yes.
And if there's nothing happening, well, you're welcome to come in and create something, right?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Now,
So
did you approach her or did she approach you for this storytelling event?
we approached them.
Okay. And she, being the person she is,
Yes.
said, sure, sounds like a good idea, right?
Yeah, they were really, open to it. I mean, I knew other groups had performed here. I knew there were music groups here, and so I knew they were open to it. It wasn't a new idea. It was just, it was storytelling and not music. So, but they were very, very open to it. Yeah.
Well, and
very
they're
supportive.
wonderful people as you get to know them, as I'm sure you have. They just welcome you in as though you're family.
Yes.
And if you become a regular here, anyone who comes in is going to experience that.
I know.
Right?
So it's nice to be called by name.
It is.
It's like you go in, you go, hey, Margaret, how are you? Come in. What do you want tonight?
Right.
The regular?
Yes. And Patrick puts on that curmudgeon act, right?
I know.
And I have to tell people, newcomers, that come on, that's his act. It's his shtick. That's what he does. Sort of like the old place to try to model themselves as 50 diners, like, sit down, what do you want?
I know.
Yeah. But it adds to the character of the place. It just makes it an entertaining
does.
place. Yeah. So, what's next? How do you plan to grow this? Now, I don't know if you can grow it. We had a full house tonight.
I
Right?
know.
Put more people in here, we'd have to fill the second floor.
I know. This is perfect. I mean, I would like to have this every month. And
But it varies sometimes.
not so much.
Okay.
Not so much.
So, Margaret, I just want to finish up by saying this is just a wonderful event, and I really applaud you for doing it. It's the kind of thing that makes communities better.
I think so too. So I'm very, very, very happy. It is really fun for me. It's fun to just have this energy to produce and then also to write and tell my stories. I mean, I am doing what I love doing. And
There's no downside to this,
there's
right?
no downside to
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
no.
Okay.
No.
Well, Margaret, thank you so much. Appreciate taking
Kevin,
the time.
Kevin,
All right.
good to meet you.
Thank you, and we'll see each other again.
We will see one
Absolutely.
another again. All right.
Right.
Bye.
Take care.